Today, let's run through the kick up to handstand levels. So we have the hardest variations and we have the easiest variations. I'm going to take you through all the variations, starting with that beginner level and progressively making it harder and harder. Now, for the first few levels, the wall is going to be your friend. Used in the right way, it can assist you and help you get to the magic freestanding variations nice and quickly. But used in the wrong way, it can become such a part of your kick up where it's now on impossible to get away from the wall. So let's start with the most important thing, our foundations. We need to make our hands the center of the base. So I'm going to place the hands down on the floor. I'm going to have the shoulders on top of the hands. I'm going to put lots of weight and lots of energy and intention into the hands. The issue a lot of beginners make is they have too much weight back into their feet and they make this all about their home position, and this is some scary thing that they don't want to get to. So we need to improve and build our confidence here so our body is really happy to go up to handstand. So most beginners are going to need a slightly wider base of support, so their hands are going to be wider because their mobility isn't this yet, their mobility is more like this. And this is also going to feel much safer if I'm a little bit wider. A little bit of external rotation helps as well. Internal rotation makes us weak. We don't want to be in this position. We want to be in this external rotation, stronger position. And we want to set the shoulders on top of the hands. So I've got my hands down, shoulders are set on top. I'm pushing the floor away. Now the next most important thing is the focal point. Where am I looking? It's going to be somewhere between the hands, maybe slightly in front, but wherever we pick, we want to keep that exactly the same all the time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is doing this as they kick. That might help fire you up to the wall, but it's definitely not going to help with a consistent entry to handstand. If you watch anyone who's good on their hands, you'll notice that their head shoulder position stays exactly the same all the time. Rep after rep, set after set. They're not moving or changing their head around unless they're particularly training something funky. So pick a distance that you're comfortable away from the wall. So for most people, it's going to be 1 to 2 hand spaces away from the wall. Shoulders on top of the hands, push the floor away, pick that focal point, and then we're just going to kick, see if we can touch with one leg. Make sure that base, that foundation is exactly the same. Go again, see if you can touch. So that's level number 1, is just kissing the wall very, very lightly with one foot. To progress on top of that, I'm just going to kick up higher with that leg, and notice what's happening now with the second leg. It's coming up higher as well. Once I've got good height there, I can just bring that second leg in and I should be able to touch the wall with both, and I can come back down that. Same pathway, and then the shoulders on top of the hand. Kick again, see if I can repeat it. Now that's a really important point, is we need repetition. We need to be able to do the same thing over and over again, and then we can fine tune it. The worst thing that's going to happen is we do something different every repetition and you've got nothing to work with. So we have level 1, kicking up, touching the wall consistently. Level 2, 1, 2. Then we need to start to make that a little bit slower, bring the legs together a little bit quicker. And that sets us up for the next stage, which is trying to come together with the feet first before I touch the wall. Very, very light touching, making sure that base is exactly the same still. And then once we can consistently touch the wall with both heels at the same time, come back down again, go again, same thing, we can start to work towards the next stage. So the next stage is catching before the wall, showing control, and then either coming back down or going back to the wall again. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. We could do it with the split leg position, so not bringing the legs together so fast. So I need a little bit more clearance now, so I'm going to be a bit further away from the wall. Now I've got that exact same setup again, but now I'm going to kick and I hold this position, so that slight split, and then I slowly bring the legs together and meet the wall, or I bring the legs together and I slowly come down with control before going again. The wall's there if I need it. Then we can do exactly the same, but step it up by going a little bit quicker towards that feet together position. So shoulders are on top of the hands, focal point is there. I kick, I bring the legs together. Now I show control. Now I come back down again. Again, I could go a little bit closer to the wall, so I have the back up. If I do go over, the wall's there. But with the goal being to bring the legs together a little bit quicker, catch that position, show control, come back down, and then do that for repetitions. Now, any of those levels can be repeated with a gymnastic type kick up. Now, I personally don't teach the gymnastic kick up unless someone's got a specific reason for doing it. It's just that it's creating energy in that direction and not that direction, like planting a tree and going up to hand balancing. It's more used in gymnastic purposes or even handstand walking, because in handstand walking we need the energy to go that way. So if you are training for handstand walking for someone like CrossFit, it might be worth playing with that variation. Handstand hands, gymnastic arms, pushing away already, and then kicking up, going through the same process, touching the wall lightly, touching the wall with both feet, kissing the wall with both feet at the same time, catching before the wall with the split position, catching before the wall with both legs at the same time. But I recommend if you're doing more hand balancing, stick to the other variation. It's easier to work with, it's more controlled. But at the end of the day, go with whichever variation you prefer, whichever you enjoy the most. Next, we can just move those two variations away from the wall now. So we have the split version. So exactly the same, hands, shoulders, focal point, kick, stay in the split for a few seconds, slowly bring the feet together, show control, back to the split, come back down again. Now, one of the risks of doing that split variation, especially if you have an overactive or very happy to work hip flexor, which is common if you do lots of yoga and do lots of this type of forward folding where you pull the hip in that position, you'll tend to use that hip flexor to control the handstand. So then I do this. So now it's very hard to open this because the hips are so involved in the movement. And you will see lots of yogis in the middle of the room kicking up like this, and this will become their handstand, so this closed hip position. So just be careful when you do that one. Try and release this a little bit. Try and make sure that it's the shoulders, the arms that are doing the rebalancing, not the hips and the legs, especially when it's part of your catch in the kick up. The cool thing with that one is it's very easy to spot. The hard thing is it's quite hard to get rid of because of the thousands of repetitions that it's taken to get it. And then the next one that's seen like the kick up, so the one that everyone aims for, is exactly the same, but we bring the legs together on top of the handstand into a straight line, show control, come back down, go again, exactly the same, come back down, go again. And looking for repetition, efficiency, we're not going too far over, we're not going too far under every time. And obviously that's not just about the kick up, that's having a really controlled balance window, having the good head to toe mobility, and just the conditioning of the position itself. So for most people, you're looking at 18 months, 2 years of work to get to a point where you can kick up like that 10 out of 10 times. Now the fun one, if you already have a one arm handstand or you're working towards a one arm handstand, you're very close and you want to start playing with kick ups, there's two main variations that people use for a one arm kick up. So there's a straight one, so I'm going to kick in this direction like that. Now the downside with that is it's very challenging to catch in that underbalance, overbalance when you're on one arm, because you're actually like changing direction. Your energy wants to go that way a little bit to counterbalance the leg that's sticking out on that side. But we're starting this way, going in that direction. So I'm going this way, but my one arm is going to open this way in terms of the balance. So it took a couple of attempts to get it. But I'm sure if I practice that one more, it would actually be easier than the next one. So then you find an angle that works and feels comfortable for you. You make sure the head and shoulders in position already, and then just kick up at an angle already. Whoop, that feels all over the place. But you get the idea. But let me know down in the comments which kick up variations that you can do, which ones you're working towards, or if I've missed any out that you think should be included in this list. If you want a hand with your handstands, check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. If you want to know more about calisthenics and handstands, check out this next video, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.